Good morning. My name is Ulf Sverdrup. I'm the director of the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs. It's a great pleasure to welcome you here this morning. It's a bit male-dominated audience today, but a great audience, I'm sure. Just let me remind you that this seminar will be streamed and it will be made available also on NUPI's YouTube channel. Now, the topic of today is, of course, the Baltic Pipe. But let me just say, as an introduction, that the Polish-Norwegian relationship is developing in many areas. We are partners in the EU and the EEA, in NATO, and I think that there are more than 100,000 officially Poles in Norway contributing to Norwegian economy, society, regional development, transfer of knowledge, etc. And I think also there are around, the ambassador said there were around 2,000 Norwegian students studying medicine alone. So Poland is also contributing to long-term sustainability of Norwegian healthcare system. Poland is also a very important market for Norwegian seafood. In fact, I think it's the biggest market for Norwegian seafood export. And a lot of processing of Norwegian seafood takes place in Poland for being resold to other parts of the world. We also have an extensive cooperation in the field of security, partners in NATO, and we are Norway and Poland is also developing further its defense industrial cooperation. And now, these days, we are about to enter into a new stage of the cooperation between Poland and Norway in the field of energy. And that's the topic of today. Providing gas from Norway to Poland via Denmark in what is the so-called Baltic Pipe. And the estimate is that by 2022, Poland can become one of the key buyers of gas from the Norwegian continental shelf. Deliverables reaching potentially 10 billion cubic meters. And if that's the case, Poland will be taking close to 10% of the Norwegian gas. So very significant. Now, Norway is of course a key partner, although Norwegian energy export is not seen as foreign policy as such. Norwegian energy is a key element of European energy security. And Norway providing gas to Europe is a key element, not only in the climate policy perhaps, but also in the energy security for Europe. And energy infrastructure is of course a key element in securing European energy security. So this project is also, this Baltic Pipe project is also fitting and consistent with the broader European energy policy. And it will, as I understand, will also receive financial support from the EU. Before we start, let me thank Jakub Kozimirski, my colleague at NUPI, who's been helping to organize this seminar. And also let me thank the ambassador Iwona Wojcika-Szlawowska. Yeah, sorry, my Polish is very poor. For excellent help and contribution. And thanks to all speakers and the audience as well. Now the schedule is so that we will have some excellent speakers giving, so we have 3 contributions at first, and then we have a short break, and then we will hear from the industry. Unfortunately, we had some late-minute changes. The Minister of Energy, he could not attend, but he's replaced by Under-Secretary of State in the Ministry, Mr. Tomasz Dąbrowski. Excellent. And then Kjell-Børge Freiberg, the Minister of Petroleum and Energy in Norway, also was replaced by Rikard Gaarde Knudsen, the State Secretary. He will give a speech following your remarks. And then we have Piotr Naimski, who's the government plenipotentiary for strategic energy infrastructure in Poland. And then I would say, as I said, we will have a short break, and then we turn to the key actors. We will have Marek Wojcik, where are you? Yeah, there you are, Marek. And then Torben Brabo from Gas TSO, and then Frode Leversund, and then Thomas Stempien from Gas System towards the end. And then we'll have a Q&A and open up for a discussion in the audience. So with that remark, I would like to welcome you all, and in particular the Undersecretary from Poland. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. Dear host, ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to speak on this conference on behalf of Mr. Krzysztof Tchórzewski, Minister of Energy of the Republic of Poland, and to participate in today's conference. This is my first official visit to Kingdom of Norway. Thank you for addressing the issue of construction of the Baltic Pipe, the gas pipeline, which is a vital element of the Polish energy strategy, playing the growing role of natural gas market in the region and in the Polish economy. This strategic infrastructural project is at the same time an expression of strong economic ties between our countries and the evidence of good prospects for the Polish-Norwegian energy cooperation in the future. The government of Poland recently published a draft of Poland's energy policy until 2040, a strategic document that indicates the key objectives for the Polish energy sector that includes the following: energy security, competitiveness of the economy and energy efficiency, as well as reduction of negative impact of the energy sector on the environment. We are aware that these objectives can be achieved, but to do so, the availability of natural gas and the proper gas transport infrastructure is the key issue. The new source of gas, the Norwegian continental shelf, and the fair market conditions of its production will allow us to use this fuel in the Polish economy on a much wider scale than before. In consequence, there will be significantly more space for renewable energy sources in the Polish power system, especially wind generation units, which due to their intermittent nature require the presence of flexible backup power. In the same time, gas will provide a smooth way to transform Polish economy into a low-emission one, and it will be an effective tool in the fight to improve the air quality in many Polish municipalities. The Baltic Pipe investment also confirms that Polish government is determined to pursue the energy transformation in a consistent manner. In the years 2020-2040, we intend to reduce the emissions in the Polish energy sector by more than half. The progress in this area will be possible thanks to close cooperation between Poland and Norway. That is why I am deeply convinced that the energy cooperation between our countries will remain a priority. Baltic Pipe will at the same time guarantee our ability to undertake activities that are sovereign, free of political obligations, and fully autonomous in the area of natural gas supply. The project also fits into the EU energy policy. It connects markets and constitutes a contribution to the fulfillment of the concept of the European North-South gas corridor, enabling our partners in Central and Eastern Europe to gain access to new sources of gas deliveries. It is worth mentioning, among other things, that Baltic Pipe enjoys the support of the European Commission. It was put on the list of European Union's key infrastructure projects, so-called PCI list, 3 times in a row. And a few days ago, it has been allocated a subsidy from the EU funds for the 4th time, with the total value of funds allocated amounting to over 266 million euros. This project also attracts huge interest from the market, as well as we could see. The binding procedure of gas pipeline capacity reservation was successful and looks very promising. The growing presence of Polish companies on the Norwegian continental shelf is an evidence of the long-term cooperation and partnership between Norway and Poland. By implementing an effective policy in the area of natural gas, the government of Poland relies on the regional cooperation with partners who share the same common values. The cooperation with the Kingdom of Norway is the best example of this. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this conference will deliver interesting observations and optimum scenarios of joint actions for implementation by the governments of Poland and Norway. I would like to wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
State Secretaries, ladies and gentlemen, ambassadors, it's a great pleasure for me to address you at this seminar today. The topic for our discussions today is energy security. This is an important topic that affects us all. Stable access to reliable and affordable energy is key to both social and economic development and is an important policy goal in every country. Energy policies goals must also align with both local pollution policies and climate change policies. The world must change its long-term path in order to reduce emissions. Natural gas is an important energy source for Europe because of its wide range of good properties. I believe gas has a key role to play in the European energy mix for decades to come. Gas is reliable, flexible and affordable energy source and has a lot to offer in the transition to a low-carbon energy system. Covering about 25% of the gas consumption in Europe, Norwegian natural gas plays a central role in the energy mix in the EU. We have the resources and infrastructure needed to remain a large and reliable supplier of gas to Europe for decades to come. About 2/3 of our estimated gas resources remains to be produced. More than 95% of our natural gas is exported through a large network of gas pipelines to the major of gas hubs in the UK and on the continent. The mutual dependence this creates between Norway and the EU countries is to benefit of both parties. Gas exporting countries such as Norway have a shared interest with gas importing countries in promoting efficient, flexible and stable gas markets. I believe that international cooperation and integrated energy markets are extremely important to meet the challenge of reaching both energy supply goals and less emissions. In addition, trade and economic cooperation contribute to reducing the risk of conflict between countries. In my view, developing and sustaining efficient energy markets is the best way to secure affordable, reliable and clean energy for all countries, to ensure that energy is available where and when there is demand, and to ensure predictability for the producers. Europe has come a long way in developing an increasingly efficient and flexible energy market. In coming years, we will see more new supply pipelines being built and more LNG available in the global market. This will give European gas customers an even better opportunity to choose among supply sources and routes. Norway supports measures that strengthens gas supply security through infrastructure and development better working markets. Decisions of additional gas infrastructure from a producing country, including the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and Baltic pipeline, should however be taken based on facts and economic analysis. It is vital that policies do not undermine the market mechanism. Energy is first and foremost a market-based commodity. If the market works, oil, gas and electricity will flow. Europe is in the midst of an energy transition aimed at delivering emission cuts. It is most important to choose the most efficient measures available in order to achieve the ambitions at lowest cost. A fast and cheap way to reduce emissions is replacing coal with gas. We see this demonstrated, for instance, in the UK, but also in the United States and China. Declining costs and the growth of renewable energy in Europe is both inspiring and most welcome. However, the growth of intermittent energy sources like wind and solar increases the need for a flexible partner to handle variations in demand and supply. Natural gas is affordable, accessible and storable. Given the flexibility of natural gas, it can respond quickly on days when the sun does not shine or the wind does not blow. In the long term, towards 2050, conversion of natural gas to hydrogen combined with carbon capture and storage should be one of several options to develop a zero-emission energy sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I am getting to the end of my speech, so I will sum up. Norway will continue to be a significant and reliable supplier of natural gas to Europe. We have a long-term view and a large remaining resources. I believe gas has a key role to play in the European energy mix for decades to come. Gas is reliable, flexible and affordable energy source and has a lot to offer in the transition of low-carbon energy system. Thanks for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm moving around because it's so crowded. So, Piotr Naimski, please.
It's my great pleasure to be here at this conference in NUPI. Ministers, ambassadors, friends from NUPI. I am visiting Oslo for probably 10th or 15th time. I started to travel back and forth to Oslo in late 90s, when the idea to connect Norwegian shelf with Poland through undersea pipeline was started. After years, quarter of century, I may say, it's safe to say that the idea is being completed. We passed a series of events. I am not going to repeat this history once again, because the future is for us. Baltic Pipe, as we say about this investment, will connect Norwegian shelf through Danish territory under Baltic Sea, Poland, and other countries or customers, better to say, which we are going to link to the Polish transmission system through series of interconnectors. Ukraine, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Lithuania means Baltic states. This will be kind of a game changer in this pattern of suppliers to the Central European region. This project, Baltic Pipe project, allowing to supply gas from independent than Russian sources to the region, to Poland first, will be probably important part of the transition from the communist past to normality in our region. The security of energy supplies, energy sources supplies, is one of the cornerstones for the security. And in these terms, I may say that we started in early 90s connecting Polish energy transmission grid to the European system, to the free market European system. And now we are going to include Polish transmission system, gas transmission system, into the European network of gas transmission through the linkage with Gaslet. The necessity to have independent from political pressure transmission of gas is obvious. There is no better place to say it than here in Norway. It's enough to see what you will be able to create on the sea. And this is part, as the Director Swodrow said, part of the security of Europe. And we are going to enter this security area also in these terms. And this is strategic value of this project. There is also market value. We are going to have to start real competition, market competition in Poland between gas from pipeline and gas as the LNG. And this will be beginning of real competition in Poland, because we are not going to compete with the administrative price given to us by the monopolistic supplier. And there is also third angle for this project. This is connected with the necessity to cooperate between partners. Baltic Sea is not the border, it's not the frontier. Baltic Sea is something which links us, which links Poland, Baltic states, and Scandinavia, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. And we have to work on that. And this kind of project, this is first project this size being implemented by three partners: Gasko, Energinet, and Gas System. Norway, Denmark, and Poland. And this will create really good prospect for the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we have a short break for stretching our leg or a cup of coffee, 10 minutes, and then we return, and then we will have hear the remarks from the operators, the businesses. Thank you so much. Excellent remarks. Thanks. Okay, welcome back again. Then we start with the second section, and now it will be a bit like a relay where we invite different contributors to come up and give short presentations, and then towards the end they will have a Q&A and discussion. And there are 4 different presentations. Some of them use slides, and the first is Thomas Stempien from Gas System. We're actually building the offshore Baltic part of it. Thanks. Click on this one. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here to give you the brief introduction in some details about the Baltic Pipe project from the Polish perspective, because I am CEO of Polish gas transmission system operator company in Poland, one and only. We own and operate 11,000 kilometers of high pressure pipelines in Poland, and we have also operates LNG terminal in Świnoujście. We are responsible for development of the infrastructure, gas infrastructure in Poland, and that is why am I here to give you some details. We started talks with our friends from Energinet 3 years ago, I think. Then we decided to do something, but it was not decided that we will be doing in that way which we will be presenting here, because the question was that if there will be the interest, market interest in the project. And then we decided that we will launch the capacity reservation procedure, open season procedure, and if it will be successful, then we decide to build the project in the, let's say, speedway. So that is how is going the project, because our open season procedure ended and concluded in signing the transmission agreements sufficient to finance, sufficient to move the project forward. So Baltic Pipe project is actually several projects. Mainly we divided into 5 components. 3 of them is on the Danish territory, and the responsibility goes to Energinet, which is tie in to the GASCO system, enhancement of the Danish gas transmission system, and constructing the compressor station, which will be working to pressure the gas going to Poland. And the gas systems part, which is to construct the offshore pipeline in Baltic Pipe under the Baltic Sea bottom, and enlargement of Polish gas transmission system. Actually, we need to build 3 gas pipelines and 3 compressor stations on our territory. The schedule, how it looks. As I mentioned, on the business side, we concluded in January 1 year ago, signing the transmission agreements. Then we started the surveys, necessary surveys, and we started the environmental impact assessment studies. These works are almost finished. In 2019, we are supposed to submit the EIA reports into all countries, and we supposed to have the detail designing phase. And on the business side, in the end of 2018, we've made with Energinet, both companies, final investment decision. This means that all companies are supposed to construct all the projects among the Baltic Pipe project to October 2022. Last permit. for the offshore part of the of our scope, we'll supposed to obtain on spring 2020, and the construction of pipeline starts also in the spring summer 2020, and commissioning, as I mentioned, October 2022. Why, from the Polish perspective, why we are doing it? It's hard to repeat what Mr. Naimski said, but I need to strengthen the argumentation. Our idea based on two pillars. First is, of course, security reasons. I present you two schemes, two maps. One is 10 years ago, and one will be anticipated what will be on 2022 after we finished our investment program. On 29, we were able to supply the Polish market only from the eastern direction, because the infrastructure was constructed in the 70s, and there were not sufficient infrastructure and capacity on the north or west side. There were some possibilities to get some gas from the rivers on the Yamal pipeline, which on a daily basis pump gas from east to west, from the Russian Federation to Germany, but still Poland was supplied by one supplier under condition of one contract and with the one only route which existed on the east. In the meantime, because import of gas in Poland covers 2/3 of Polish consumption, 1/3, more or less 1/3 of Polish gas consumption is covered by the domestic production. So the idea was to diversify it in three terms, of course. We as a gas system, as a TSO, are responsible for the infrastructure side, so diversification in the meaning to build the enough capacity to connect Polish gas market into the new independent area of gas production and to create the new independent routes apart from the existing one. So that is our responsibility. That is why we already managed to build and start operation the LNG terminal in Świnoujście. It was happened 3 years ago. We have also other interconnectors projects, 3 of them with Slovakia, with Lithuania, and the Baltic Pipe, which is interconnector, bidirectional flow, is under final investment decision. 2 of them is under the designing phase, but with no decision, so one with the Czech Republic and one with the Ukraine. But on the Ukrainian side, there is also now possibility to flow gas in both directions on the existing infrastructure. So this is part of the broader picture of what we are doing to diversify the sources. This is the security reasons because, and in 2006, for example, and 2009, of course, we suffered, Polish economy suffered from disturbances of gas suppliers from east. In the winter time, in 2006, it was the January and February, we missed and failed to deliver to the Polish economy in 10 days period in hard winter 110 million cubic meters of gas because of disturbances on the eastern border of gas supplies. And we were not able to get this gas from anywhere else. So this security reason, stability of supplies. And the other pillar, which is the market reasons, of course, and this begins more and more important in Poland, is because when we got the option, the Polish customers got the option to buy the gas, and there is the price competence between different areas of production from different market participants. There is, of course, for the economy, most effective. So the market reasons are also very, very important. And of course, connecting to our neighboring system, our neighboring countries, give that option to other Central Eastern countries and customers in that countries. So there's mainly, of course, broader pictures. My task was to present in briefly what is staying behind the Baltic Pipe project from the Polish perspective, and of course during the panel we'll happy to answer the question if there will be some. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tomasz, for giving information and sharing information on the whole project. And then I give the floor to Torben, please, who will do the Danish section of this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Nemski, ambassadors, dear colleagues and dear friends, også gode nordiske naboer. I'm pleased to be invited here as Energinet, as we have already been seeing from the ministers and from Thomas Stepien. Baltic Pipe have many objectives, and the objectives are different in the countries. So we have heard about Norway having gas and is willing to sell gas, also easternward. And we have heard about Poland, who have, let's say, a security of supply issue. And then we have Denmark in between. And I will come into what is then the value gained from Denmark and our society in co-investing into this bigger project. So I hope, and I excuse for all my Norwegian friends, that we have now forgotten the World Master Championships in handball last week. I really excuse. I tried to impact the result, but unfortunately Denmark won. But I must say, under the headline of Naimski, that Baltic Pipe is also a really great project where we are cooperating, Denmark and Norway and Poland, very genuinely, both system operators, governments, but also the commercial side. So I think that the good feeling we had from the World Master Championships of football, we also have in this project. Energinet is a state-owned energy infrastructure company. It's defined by law 25 years ago that all vital energy infrastructure should remain on majority state ownership in Denmark. So when the commercial players are being, let's say, privatized or going to stock, they need to sell their assets into the state. And we are, let's say, the company lucky to receive all those companies. So we were initially a gas and power transmission system operator. We are there in the middle, and now we also gas storage, gas distribution, and we also have huge investments into IT systems which on a national basis serve the energy markets. Part of being Energinet and a state ownership, we need to fulfill a certain requirement when we invest. There's a, let's say, article in the law stating that for us to invest, it needs to give socio-economic benefits to the Danish society. So when gas system and the Polish state came to us 3 years ago, as many times before, we took the law. No, but I think we have a good track record that in the end we will succeed when we have a good project. We took our model and assessed whether it showed socio-economic benefits for Denmark. And Baltic Pipe is a very good project also for Denmark. It's evident for Poland that it's about security of supply. It's evident that for Norway it's about selling gas. And for Denmark, where we are in between, what we get from Baltic Pipe is that we get neighbors to share cost with. So we have already invested into the energy system in Denmark, but by adding more volume, we have, let's say, more volumes to share our fixed cost on. So for Denmark, this is about reduced tariffs. So the more Baltic Pipe is used, the lower the tariffs will be for the Danish energy users. And in economic terms, it's about 2 billion Danish kroners, which is, let's say, received in the analysis, which is also public and is part of, let's say, the process with the European Commission, etc. It has a high political focus, the Baltic Pipe project, because in Denmark we need to show the socioeconomic benefits. We have done that, but also there's strong arguments in Parliament and in the population about Denmark needs to be green. So how can we invest into, let's say, a non-renewable energy infrastructure? But that has also been, let's say, discussed and analyzed and proved that it is also beneficial for Denmark in a, let's say, transition towards greener economy. For sure, for Poland, there is the opportunity, which we have heard many times, that there can be a conversion from coal to gas. But also in Denmark, we have a benefit, and there is the lower tariffs, because we introduce more and more green gases into the network, biomethane. In the end, there will also be hydrogen mixed into the gas networks. And with having a lower tariff, it will be cheaper to introduce the biomethane and hydrogen into the Danish energy mix. So even also when you look on the transition towards the 2050 Paris goals, Baltic Pipe also plays a role in Denmark as it can do in Poland. So for the gas system in Denmark, we have, let's say, three main strategic objectives, and one of them is Baltic Pipe. Baltic Pipe is highest. We are investing 150% more assets into the transmission company than we have already, and that's a really huge investment. We also have, I can say, the next 3 years, the production fields in the Danish part will be closed down for maintenance. So for 3 years, we will not receive gas from the Danish part, and there also the Baltic Pipe will in the last year, in fact, also assist the Danish society there. So the winter 2021, we will have, the 2021-22, we will get supplies from Norway in a situation where we get no gas from Denmark, and that's very good also. And then in the end, we are very focused on markets and the integration of markets, and we have been that, for, let's say, for 10 years. So currently we are having a project with Sweden. We are also connected to Sweden, where we in market terms will remove the border point. So we will join the Danish gas market and the Swedish market into one, let's say, virtual market. Meaning that if you enter into our system from Norway, you can immediately sell your gas also in Sweden. And we are also working on that we will include the connection which we have here to Norway into the same one zone. So when we have Baltic Pipe, we will have, so when you get into our system here, you can immediately export there, or you can export to consumers in Sweden. So we will have one zone containing 3 assets: an offshore pipeline, onshore Denmark, and onshore Sweden. And I will come to my last point, and that is our discussions with Poland. We have also talked markets. I know that there are some, let's say, critique in the public about the Polish market situation right now, both on the, let's say, wholesale and storage. But I know also that when we ask our Polish counterparts and when we hear the political signals from Poland, that after the construction of Baltic Pipe, when the security of gas supply is secure, then Poland can again, let's say, develop the gas markets, as is the intention from the European Union. And we have already, let's say, 2-3 years ago discussed, could we also include at least partly some of the Polish market into one zone? So it could be in the end that we could have, let's say, a Northern European gas market where when you enter into it, you can take the gas out at any consumption points. We are at least willing to do it, and we are willing to assess it. I don't know whether it's possible, but when we have the physical infrastructure connected, then there is the possibility also to develop the markets. So that's what we will do. Lastly, I will also thank our, let's say, cooperators, both in Norway, Gasco, and also in Poland, Gas System, because we immediately found out that they are very big gas companies with huge systems in kilometers, thousands of kilometers, and billions of cubes of gas. And in Denmark, we have a very small system, and we have a very little amount of gas. So we also get a lot of experience and knowledge from your, let's say, experts when we work together. We hope also that we can benefit back something about the transition of the gas system or market development, etc. But we really appreciate the cooperation. Currently, the project is in green. everything is going fine. Now we have been working for 2.5 years, and we are still in green. That's very important for us. And we put maximum efforts into maintaining the project in a green mode, so we are ready with first gas in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Torben. Also like the way you emphasize the Danish component to this joint multinational somehow cooperation. And then I give the floor to Frode Leversen from Gassco, who's also contributing on the Norwegian part of the, or from stretch from Norway to Denmark. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Ulf. Dear energy friends, firstly, a reminder to Torben that the national team of Norway in handball, the average age is not high, it's really low. So, there are a lot of new people coming in, and they will be really good for the next years to come. Okay, then I've stated that, and so let's move on. This is what you all will be part of, Denmark and Poland. With this tie-in to the Norwegian system, you will be a part of this flexibility. So I will start with that, because as shown on the map, this is all the pipeline system, the pipeline grid on the Norwegian continental shelf. It's, as you can see, a lot of pipelines in the matured area in the North Sea. If you go up the coast to the Norwegian Sea, you can see still a lot of new pipelines, and all this is connected. It's a large system. If you look at it as an offshore system, it's one of the largest, or the largest in the world. So even if the distance, as you see, is 8,800 kilometers of pipeline, this is huge pipelines on the bottom of the sea. So when you flew over, you cannot see them. They are underneath of the sea, in the sea bottom. So it's a fantastic system. Connected to all majors producing gas fields and oil field with associated gas. There is more than 50 fields connected to the system, if you take it all together. And I must say the timing for this event is fantastic, because now I'm going to tell you for the first time a great news. Never told before, or have told before, but it's some time ago. Because the last 24 hours, what we call the last gas day, which goes from 6 in the morning to 6 the next morning, we set a new export record for the Norwegian continental shelf, and we did that yesterday. With a figure of 376 million standard cubes, that's the highest pipeline level ever from the Norwegian continental shelf. So I think that's really a good occasion to tell you that. So now you know. And the forecast now, you know, in the cold period is also high. Which means that all the fields in the Norwegian continental shelf are delivering gas as in a high volume, and the system is working. There is also riser platforms. There are 3 major processing plants on the Norwegian coast linked to the system, which also gives the flexibility to route gas in different ways. So the flexibility in this system to route gas to St. Fergus in Scotland, to Easington in close to Hull, down to Europe, to Zeebrugge, to Dunkirk, and also the 2 pipelines into Germany, Dornum and Emden, gives a big flexibility. And now you can see the dotted line to Denmark, which will give access to Denmark, Poland, and also, as you have heard, markets outside Denmark and Poland, which gives shippers on the Norwegian continental shelf these 50 fields. There's a lot of what we call shippers have gas volumes, delivering gas into the system. So this opens up a new region, a new market for Norway, which is very good. Also, a very important point that this system, as I said, on the ending point now, is connected to the gas transmission system in Europe and UK. So there's a large opportunity now for the development of the system for Norway. And today we are delivering 25% of the gas volumes to Europe. And we know that the own production in Europe in total is going down and will be going down. So the import level will go up. And that is also in the climate debate, reaching the climate goals. So the possibility for Norway is very good. And this is a simplified picture, what you already have seen. And you can still see the dotted line into Denmark, connecting Europipe 2 from Norway, from Kårstø, which will give new flexibility. But my point showing this is that in Norway, we are very proud of the way we are producing and transporting the gas, because it's linked to hydropower. We are using the hydropower to compress the gas with the big gas compressors, to compress the gas and push it to Europe. And we also like to, in volumes of energy, we also like to use this as a picture of what do we really supply to Europe in energy. Because, you know, if I said that we delivered last year 114 BCM, it's kind of a high figure, but we don't have a clue what actually it is in energy. So what we have delivered last year and will deliver this year is like this. If you look at it in hydropower production, annual hydropower production for Norway, into UK it's 3 times. The annual hydropower production from Norway goes directly within gas pipeline to the UK a year. 1 time the Norwegian annual production to France, 1 time to Belgium, and 4 times to Germany. So if we add up the TBCM, which is the design capacity for the Baltic Pipe, it will be approximately 1 Norwegian hydropower production in that pipeline in energy yearly. So that put kind of the energy importance of this project in perspective. So I will end my little speech now, and thank you for the attention, and looking forward to the panel discussion.
Also puts this current conversation in Norway about stretching some electricity cables to some of our neighbors slightly into perspective. But that's another discussion. Okay, and then towards the end, we will hear from Marek Wojcicki.
Very good, very nice try.
Because the content, he's a content provider. Please.
Exactly right. So unlike to, good morning, alle sammen. Good morning, everybody. Unlike to my noble predecessors, I'm not representing the pipeline industry. So basically, they are the gas transmission system operators responsible for the physical construction of any pipeline, including the Baltic Pipe. I am representing the commercial part of the gas market, so purely business looking, always and constantly for any opportunities to be utilized in order to create the value for our stakeholders, or simply speaking, that's to make money on. And so today I'm substituting, as hard as I can, but you will evaluate me. My CEO of the PGNiG, he's supposed to be here, but he had a valid reason not to be here with us. So I will try, let's say, to give it a PGNiG as a commercial entity perspective on what's going on with and about the Baltic Pipe. As PGNiG originates from the Polish market, and probably most of you are more or less familiar after, especially after, let's say, Mr. Frode Leversund, yeah, right, correct, I was trying Norwegian, presentation when it comes to the Norwegian gas market situation. I will give you a picture on the current and forecasted situation in the Polish gas market. So basically what you see on the graph, let's say it's our forecast on the future situation when it comes to the demand for gas in the Polish market. So as you see, everything is growing in principle, right? Everything is growing. But in fact, the main contributor is to be that power generation, which is represented by the dark blue ribbon on the graph. Because as you see, the width of the ribbons, the orange and the red one, are more or less stable over the time. But the biggest chunk comes from the power generation demand. There is an obvious reason. Mr. Dąbrowski a little bit mentioned about that, because as Poland, you know, our energy mix is pretty high fulfilled by coal, and as a member of the EU, we have, let's say, our obligations when it comes to reduce our carbon footprint. Of course, the gas is probably the easiest way and the first possible alternative achievable for Poland. We are a rather flat country when it comes to the hydropower generation. So, of course, we have some, you know, potential, but unlike to Norway. So we are not a very much sunny country. However, the future of the photovoltaics, of course, the technologies are improving. So maybe someday in future, the photovoltaics will be some kind of an option. But still, when you consider the size of the Polish power market, which is more than 40 gigawatts of the capacity, and the peak consumption is 26 up to 27 gigawatts, right? So then you will see that, you know, if any alternative, the gas is the first one. So that's why, you know, the picture looks like it looks like. Of course, there is some component regarding, let's say, the gasification of the transportation, but mainly it comes from the municipal transport. Right? So in a more details, you know, when it comes to our activity on the power market, as I mentioned, the PGNiG core business is gas, but also we are engaged in a complementary segments of the industry, which is a power generation. Here I just permit myself to mention only two currently realized investments. These are new CHPs, gas-fired CHPs, that represent the PGNiG's financial commitment, but also many of them. Previously, before I, let's say, joined the PGNiG, I ran the largest Polish power utility, and recently, as you know, I still follow, let's say, the mother. Recently, they declared, for example, to build close to Polish LNG terminal in Świnoujście, two big units, each of 700 megawatts, gas-fired big units, gas-fired power plant units. So it lets you know, let's say, a kind of a flavor, what is the future of the Polish gas market demand. Besides, the chart represents, you know, some white and yellow spots, right? So the yellow part is, what you see is, let's say, the actual coverage of the gas distribution network, which is operated by the PGNiG subsidiary, and represents the part of Poland which is already connected and has an access to the gas distribution system. So basically, this is an area when customers may profit on our gas dispatched and deliveries. So the white part of the chart represents the part of the Poland that still has a potential to be connected to the gas system, right? So, so basically, this is not the last word that I said on the previous graph when it comes to the boost of the gas demand in Poland. And this is again the same graph as you could see on the first slide, but shown a little bit from the different perspective. Because, you know, the gas market size for any commercial body like PGNiG is important, but equally important is what you can do with this size, actually. And historically, PGNiG is dependent on one large volume, long-term contract. Guess which one, right? With the Gazprom. Until October 2022, we, as the entity that respects contract signed, very often our partners have a different view on it, but we don't. We'd like to, let's say, fulfill our obligations arising from this contract. So in other words, till October 2022, which was mentioned by my predecessors, right, we cannot do very much about, let's say, the growing demand on the Polish gas market in a purely commercial terms, because we have to offer to our customers the gas that we have to buy from the historic supplier, gently speaking, right? But afterwards, we count, let's say, to the situation to be changed, and that circle graph below you have seen, but in a different form. It was presented by Mr. Stępień. This is the future situation post-2022 when it comes to the available transmission cross-border capacity. So you see how this will be diversified, and as PGNiG, who owns more than 90% of the gas market, retail gas market in Poland, we'll be able, let's say, to profit much better on the market opportunities compared to the current situation, right? And but we are still not waiting till, let's say, October 2022 to happen. As you see here, if I know, oh yes, I tried. As you see here, 4 years ago, actually. 4 years ago, our situation looked like that when it comes to our import gas portfolio, right? So 87% of the gas we were selling to our final customers was coming from the Gazprom's contract, right? Only 13 was coming from so-called western direction, but in details, it was coming only due to the so-called virtual reverse flow facility. So in terms of the molecule, some can question whether it was, let's say, real diversification or not, but from the pure commercial point of view, it was, right? But when it comes to, let's say, the 2017, so barely 2 years after, you see there's a big change. Why? Thanks to the brand new LNG terminal that's been built in Świnoujście by Polish Gas System. Now it's being operated by its subsidiary. But nonetheless, you know, we booked, as PGNiG, we booked some capacity in this terminal, and we profit on, let's say, the available capacity. We treat this LNG terminal as any other, let's say, and a gas company being in our shoes, so another entry point, and, you know, to be balanced. We manage our, let's say, import portfolio. So this way, we try to diversify our import portfolio, our gas portfolio, in order to find, let's say, the balance between what we can buy in terms of the volume and the cost of our overall portfolio. Why we do so? But before I came to why we do so, I'll let you know about a little bit of the history of our company, that I'm managing, because I'm the managing director of PGNiG Upstream Norway, which is a fully subsidiary of the PGNiG in Poland. So a history here in Norway reaches 2007 when the company was founded, and we acquired, we acquired a participating interest in mainly in Skarv and Snart field from ExxonMobil at that time. 3 years after, as a routine, we were granted, let's say, the status of the operator in Norway by Norwegian administration. Thanks for that, by the way. 2012, we commenced production from that field, and basically we started to create revenues. And 2 years after, we had a deal with Total and bought another 4 main assets that we produce to these days. In 2017, this is the phase when the Baltic Pipe project has started. We booked a capacity in the plant Baltic Pipe. So I'm representing the company, so once again, that is to fill that pipeline with the gas. So we are judging upon, let's say, the volume of the capacity that we booked in the Baltic Pipe. We are probably the key shipper. We are probably to be the key shipper on this pipeline. But that's okay, because we underpinned the successful story of the Baltic Pipe. There has to be someone, commercial body, interested in it. But by saying that, I'm trying to convey to you a message that we treat this pipeline, as a purely commercial thing. Because before we decided to book a capacity, And believe me, the Baltic Pipe is to have a 10 BCM capacity yearly, right? It's to be ready to transport 10 billion cubic meters of gas every year. So as 9 BCM was offered according to European regulations, this is the number that could be offered by both gas system and Energinet. So we booked, say, 90% of it. So this is a pretty significant and sizable amount of the capacity. And we carefully analyzed, let's say, profitability of this way of transportation compared to some alternatives. And it turned out, and it keeps turning out, that this pipeline has real chances to be absolutely the best choice for us, especially when it comes to Norwegian optics. The history, more than 10 years presence of PGNiG in Norway, says that, of course, we may make, as we did so far, make money on producing gas and oil, but primarily gas. That's what we do here in Norway, just simply staying within the Norwegian gas market. But if there is an alternative, let's say, to direct our equity gas production through this pipeline to Poland, why not to do so? And last but not least, I skipped to mention, sorry. So we booked the capacity in 2017, but December last year, which was two months ago, right, we acquired another interest, this time in Tommeliten Alpha from Equinor, which we are proud of. Of course, I skipped some minor acquisitions like Skogul, Storklakken, formerly known, or Fogelberg, which are also, let's say, that represent some portion of the gas production in the future. I concentrated only on the, let's say, the big animals, talking, let's say, our language. Generally, our strategy, our presence here in Norway, does not only, let's say, mean that we are going after acquisitions of already producing assets. Of course, the deadline 2022 and the planned termination of our contract with the Gazprom requires, let's say, concentration on acquisitions of something that already produces the gas. This is probably the not very smart and sophisticated choice. But this is not a job of a kind one-off. So of course we care for, let's say, the volume of the gas to be produced here in Norway and then put through the Baltic Pipe and delivered to Poland, not only from the 2022 year perspective. Our commitment to transport the volumes through the Baltic Pipe extends for next 15 years, starting from 2022. So we have to keep our gas production profile here in Norway on a relatively flat level. And that's why we are interested also, and we do, right, in acquisitions of the assets being in the different stages of its life cycle, like, for example, to be developed or just discovered. Last year, actually this year, the announcement of the ministry's decisions to grant us a new licenses was announced this year, but of course the process was run by our company last year. So this year we were granted another 3 so-called production, but in a real sense these are the exploration licenses. In 2 of them we are to play the role of the operator. So we are here for the, let's say, for good, for the long run, not just, like some, let's say, other companies could be for the short term. We have a long-term view on the Norwegian continental shelf presence. Here's, let's say, the quick snapshot on what we did so far. The dark blue ribbon represents the situation if we didn't make any investment decision at the moment the Baltic Pipe concept has started. So basically, as Mr. Stempin, Mr. Bravo told you, the Baltic Pipe project in its current form started somewhere here, 2017. So if we as PGNiG Upstream Norway didn't make any investment decision at this point of time, our gas production profile would look like this blue ribbon represents. Right? But everything you see above is a consequence of the decisions that we already made. Right? And I'd like to draw your attention also to this light blue component, which represents our exploration. This year, we are to spot our first operated well in Norway, hoping for discovery and then further development, of course, right? So it's another proof of what I said before, that we are not only hungry for already existing production, but also for the projects to be developed on our own. And so for us, basically, Baltic Pipe has a lot of sense, has a lot of commercial business sense, and it says what I already told you, right, about the Baltic Pipe. So once more, our presence here is for the long run, not for the short term. And in order to complete the Polish gas market and PGNiG activity image, this is the very last slide that I have to convey to you. It represents what we did and what we're doing when it comes to the LNG. On the first slide, you could see that our current Polish gas market consumption reaches the level of something like 17, 18 billion cubic meters yearly. Right? Out of which, let's say, 8 to 10 is to be transported, covered by the Baltic Pipe in the future. So it says that the remaining 10, 9 has to be covered in some way. 4 to 5 BCM Poland PGNiG in Poland produces domestically. So the remaining 5 has to be somehow covered, and LNG terminal is our response to do it. Of course, I say our response, but these are the contracts that PGNiG signed very recently for the LNG imports to Poland, mainly with the United States, but not only. And of course, we use the available capacity of LNG terminal. By the way, recently and justifiably, I put, let's say, that last information on the bottom of this slide, that current market conditions allows us for much cheaper, let's say, transactions when it comes to the purchase of LNG compared to the existing Gazprom contract that we have. So this is it. And very last say from me, of course, this was a rather commercial, business-oriented presentation. But as a PGNiG, of course, we are not only the commercial entity. We are basically, we have our shareholders. We are responsible to them. But our statutory obligations say that we are also responsible to provide our customers, Polish customers, with the continuous, reliable, and affordable gas supplies. So diversification is an obvious strategy in order to fulfill these obligations, right? And this is what we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marek. Now I suggest that we just shut down the slides, and then I invite all of you to come up here to the podium. Torben, Frode, Marek. Yeah, and Tomas. And then we open for a Q&A session, and we invite the audience also to participate in that discussion. There's a lot of expertise also in the room here that we'd like to... but could I just start with one question? We heard that there's a slight history to this project as well. So if it's green, if it's security, if it promotes cooperation between our countries, why is it that this was possible now and it's been more difficult earlier? And so that's the first point. What made it possible now? And the second thing that I would like to just throw out is what Marek brought up, this LNG. What will be the price, as you see it, in competitiveness for this Baltic Pipe gas compared to LNG or Russian gas or other energy sources? Okay, I just throw those two out. Non-trivial issues, but who would like to start?
I think that I will refer, say, being on the run, so I can refer to your last question, basically. So the part of your question I already answered, right? When it comes to the contracted pipeline gas, so-called pipeline gas. But when it comes to the LNG as such, I think that now LNG market especially, is in a very good momentum, but this is just our perspective. It is in a very good momentum, and you know, if you are prudent enough, then you can find pretty a lot, let's say, opportunities in the market that you can be satisfied with and basically make money on it, right? We as a PGNiG, to some degree, let's say, we have a, one could say, comfortable situation on one hand, on the other hand, maybe not. But we are so-called a vertically integrated utility. The part of our business is this one that is located within the so-called midstream, right? Is a regulated one. So of course, you know, it's a nice thing to have in your balance sheet when you have a regulated revenues, because to some degree they are, let's say, guaranteed. And probably I'm the right person to say it, because in my previous professional life I was the Polish gas market regulator, so I know the story how it works. But of course, this is only, let's say, the one side of the picture. The flip side is like there is something like, you know, you have to rely on the predictable regulations, right? And as I said, our statutory obligations, right, when it comes to the PGNiG, I named them as we are responsible for maintaining the security of the gas supply for our customers. This is something that, of course, we have to be very careful how we execute it. And the Norway, that's what we hope, that's what we believe, and this is based on our so far experience, is a credible partner. Twofold credible partner, because, you know, the Norway offers absolutely predictable business legislative framework. If there are any changes, you know, they are consulted, well thought, and if they occur, which happens rather rarely than often, so they are stable. And as a consequence, the partners, the companies, upstream business that operates here in Norway are also credible partners for us. And this is the value we'd like to build on, unlike to, let's say, our historic experiences with our Russian partner. Right?
Okay, Torben and Frode want to speak up on this as well. Torben, please.
I think that for us there are two main differences now compared to the past, and one of the reasons are us, that we are independent system operators. We are not bundled into commercial companies. So in fact we have a very straightforward legal framework under which we should invest when people come to us, and we should give third-party access. And if you go back in history, there have been, let's say, some concerns of our assets being owned by a commercial company having, let's say, competition toward Norway and Poland. It was difficult. And the other reason for me, that's, let's say, the political landscape in Poland. 25 years ago or 30, Poland coming out of a communist era, there were, let's say, probably some more positive links to Russia, to coal, and as far as I understand and read the political landscape now, when you had your 10-year network development plan through Parliament last time, there was no one against including Baltic Pipe. So the entire Polish Parliament is pro-diversification. And if you go 20 years back, it wouldn't be. It was probably 55, 45, and then it might change.
I think a key issue is that the shippers on the Norwegian continental shelf see an possibility in an increasing market. Of course, that's a trigger. But back to the question about the pricing, I think we can start with the situation today. I said that now we have an export record out of Norwegian continental shelf in pipeline gas. At the same time, we have maybe I don't have the figures, but I know that the import volumes of LNG is also higher now in Europe than maybe it ever has been historically. So I think what we need to do is that we need to be competitive. We need to be competitive. We have a system. We have run it for 40 years. We still need to lower the unit cost, do what we can do to produce at the lowest possible cost, operation, maintenance, and so on. That's what we can do. So, and we have done it for a long time, and we will do it also for a long time.
Excellent, Thomas. And then we open the floor.
Okay. I think that Torben has a good understanding what was happening in Poland. But once again, I will give you the practical examples of these two pillars, security of supplies and the market position in Poland. After we start the commercial of the LNG terminal in Świnoujście in June 2016, we are observing the huge increase in gas demand in Poland. One should ask why. And one of possible answers is that in our economy, where you got the, for example, industry based on the gas, or you've got some investments which will use the gas, for example, the power generation or factories or even residential, and you suffer disturbances of gas, and in winter times especially, each 2 years, then you will think twice or even more to invest money in that part of economy because it's unstable. And it happened in Poland on the many times. So after we open the independent source and stable, as Marek said, stable. LNG is stable supplies, Norway is stable supplier. Then we observe that there are many positive investments in the gas sector, in the sectors that use gas, and shift from coal to gas and to put the gas in some sectors. And we observe the huge increase in demand in Poland. And still, Poland, as in the European Union country, has usage of gas per capita as one of the lowest. So this is the potential. And the potential was keeping down because of one supply which is unstable and lack of infrastructure. So this is the main difference. And the second, of course, is pure economical. Because when you got one supplier and has no chance to shift him because of lack of infrastructure, then you overpay for the supply. Even if you have no disturbances in suppliers, you overpay it. And years ago, because I joined to the gas sector 14 years ago, and has 1 year of working in PGNiG before Marek entered, and I was an analyst, market analyst in PGNiG. And Poland, I think on the general number, overpay for gas, I think between $100 and $200 million per year as economy, purely economical. When we got the access to the Western markets and the enough capacity to buy enough gas, then we will avoid this cost. So, because there were gas on the Western markets, but we have no access to them. And we are not able because we get the long-term contract with take or pay clauses. So it was impossible, even if because the market was saturated. So in the pure economical, it's cheapest. So in Poland now we are talking about the cost of lack of diversification, which is bigger than to build all this infrastructure in Poland. And on numbers, we as a gas system, because Torben mentioned that you put 150% to your gas assets. Actually, when we are counting in gas system, we are doing the same, because we've got, let's say in euros, more or less. We as a capital group, so transmission system and LNG, have 3.5 billion euros of assets. And we have the investment plan, Baltic Pipe, enhancement of system, enhancement of LNG terminal, above another 4 billion euros to our system, and still it's cheapest than it will. Then the situation, it costs cheaper per year than the situation when we need to pay another 20 years, overpay this 100 or 200 million dollars per year. So it's cheaper in the long term.
Okay. Then I suggest that we open for discussion. So over there, Karin first, and then I have a microphone. Therese is bringing it around here, and then over here.
Thank you. Is it working? Can you hear me?
Oh, definitely.
First, Ulf, thank you so much for bringing up gas. We have a country that has been secretive about gas, and certainly the business side, forever, and we have chosen not to use it, so there's little competence on this. So there's little attention to the huge business opportunity that could be by exporting to Poland. So thank you for that. The change in the gas market organization in Europe, and with Gasco being unbundled from the producers, give PGNiG many different options from the last time we talked about doing gas trade between the two countries. You can, as you do, buy fields, which is almost easy. You could buy gas at the field. You could buy gas in Denmark. Or you could do the traditional solution of a take-or-pay contract like you already have with your Russian supplier. There could be different risks and different prices. There's very little knowledge about that in our country, and there's some old-fashioned attitudes that the old Soviet Union Eastern Bloc are everything is political, everything is emotions. So I'm quite keen to talk about, or like you have done, competition is a thing. We have brought, partly Norwegian and others, competition to Lithuania. That gave a huge discount in the Russian price. I mean, every monopolist will maximize its price if he can. So competition is just as valuable as the practicalities. Because when it comes to security of supply, you showed percentages in your import capacity, and I'm pretty sure it will be more than 100% of the demand. And the spare capacity is the big value in security of supply. Like England saw last time this year when it was so cold that they were desperate for gas, and there was a technical problem in Norway. Novatek sent an LNG, and there was okay. So the new way of thinking and the new way of explaining infrastructure, but also trading, is very important for us Norwegians to hear about. And I have not seen any signs that Norway wants to sell a long-term take-or-pay contract, which used to be our dream model, even if the public story in Norway is that we are reliable and we are making Europe greener. There's no place will that be valued more. I mean, if you were to rank best customers to look at out of environmental, politically correct issues in Norway, Poland should surely be the place that will give more impact on the environment. Germany, not so sure. England, not so sure. Poland, as you say, kept the gas down and uses so much coal that I don't need to explain the challenges, but I don't need to smoke in that country. So thank you so much, and it would be nice if this comes on the agenda in Norway, where we are generally discussing connection to Europe with electricity. But gas, as you showed, Frode, is so much bigger and so much more important for the EU that we follow the rules and don't get in the category of your main supplier as someone who doesn't follow the route. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then we have another from over here, please.
Marek, you have mentioned that you guys succeeding pretty well with the most recent acquisitions in Norwegian continental shelf.
Yep.
And I, just given all these really big numbers and capacity of the pipeline, I'm just curious, because I know many other operators in Norway, they all have similar ambitious goals to increase. What do you think some of your unique strengths when it comes to try to reach those goals and actually hit those numbers and continue this growth?
The answer is very simple, but thank you for this question. It's a very good question. We have a strong foundation when it comes to, let's say, the PGNiG history, right? So PGNiG, my mother company, has 100 years or more of a tradition. So, as I said, it originated in Poland, but the core business, gas, onshore, that is fact. But you know, if you had 100 years of experiences and traditions, and you know your stuff, basically, right? Because here in Norway, we are the offshore arm of the PGNiG, so which is not exactly the same. But when it comes to engineering, you know, we have a lot to profit on. So I'm not very much worried about. And we are not a newcomer. I purposely presented our more than 10 years presence here in Norway. So it's not like, you know, we came 2 years ago and are looking still around what's going on here in Norway. No? We know this market very well. We operate 5, 6 actually producing assets, including like Skarv and Gina Krog, which are well-known, sizable assets, and we are assisted by, let's say, top-class operators, right? Which is Aker BP, Equinor. Disregard, let's say, the sequence I'm mentioning there, right? Sorry for that, no. All due respect to any, all due respect, right? Total, for example, right? So, so I'm not very much worried about it. So, I wouldn't have made my decision to spot the first operated well this year if I had not been convinced that we have enough capabilities to do so. So. And besides, as I said, the good foundation here in Norway is a predictable, business-oriented logistical framework. So regulations are stable. Even if from time to time they are hard, I mean taxes, you know, they can be, if you follow them carefully, and everybody follows. So it's a good business culture here, right? This is also a very good foundation. A lot of worries, you know, off your head, you know.
Somebody else want to pick up on some of the topics? Please.
Yes, I would take up.
Just please indicate, because there's not so much interest in participating in the debate, so please raise your hand, and if you have, we still have the possibility of having a question or two. So please.
I would take off from Kahn's input here on markets, because as has been told, we are now building infrastructure for 10 BCM. We have, let's say, bookings for 8 BCM. So in fact, we have 20% capacity left. And it's very important for us that we will engage with as many, let's say, commercial players as possible. For sure, Baltic Pipe would not have been where we are now without PGNiG, for sure. You have taken a great, let's say, investment into this, to the realization of the project. But even that we really like that, we are also obliged, you know, to, let's say, fill in the holes in the pipeline. So not holes, but fill in the
I can be filled
wrong wording, but fill in the unused capacity with as many, let's say, other commercial players, so we can have, let's say, continued market development both in Denmark and for sure also in Poland. So what you're saying, Thomas, about, let's say, the industrial players or the power plant owners being interested, let's say, in supplies from new grounds is very interesting, and we will work hard, let's say, to have, let's say, consumers and suppliers meeting each other and utilizing the pipelines as much as possible.
As a comment on what Karen said, I think that one big advantage for Norwegian gas is the framing. Spoken about the framing, but also I touched upon the way we are producing and transporting the gas. One, because in the end, it's about to be a kind of solid producer. With low emissions, and as you know, we use hydropower, as I said, but also methane emissions will be a big issue from production for the decades to come. And this is what we know about that. We have measured methane emissions from the mid-80s as a part of the regulations. So I think this will also be very good as a producer for all shippers on the Norwegian shelf to be a part of this system. And also the reliability. We have talked about the diversity, but to be a reliability, have a high reliability system. And if you look at the figures we have been over 99% of what we call deliverability on exit points from the startup. So we have a high record, and we will continue to do that. And that will also be very, as kind of a total producer and a delivery from the Norwegian continental shelf, it will be very, very good to be in that position also for the future. So I think that will be one of the strengths for Norway.
Then we have two comments there from Jakob and then over there as well.
Thank you very much, first of all, for coming and joining us in this discussion. I think that this is a very interesting and crucial topic to be discussed in Norway, not least because there is a certain level of uncertainty about the future of the Norwegian gas as an energy source in the broader European context due to this greater focus on green energy. We have heard a lot about the increase in demand for gas in Poland, but we haven't heard that much about what are the prospects of Norway producing more gas, because we know that Norway has a number of customers in Europe who are today and are going most probably to be very interested in purchasing Norwegian gas, but we also know that there are some structural limitations as far as the shipping capacity and the production capacity is concerned. If you could give us some hints about how much gas Norway is going to be able to produce in the years to come. Thank you.
Actually, my question is very similar because you mentioned.
Okay, so my question will be quite similar because you mentioned during your presentation, Frode, that significant production of Norwegian gas is expected over the next couple of decades. So a lot is there to find, and a lot is still remaining in huge fields like Troll. But we looked at recent NPD projections. I'm from PGNiG in Norway. We noticed that significant gas reserves are yet to find is on the Barents. Do you think that there is, in the perspective of, say, next 15 to 20 years, we could think about Barents Sea being connected to Norwegian existing infrastructure and then maybe taken down to further down to Baltic Pipe with Poland and neighboring countries? This would surely set the record of the length for sending gas across the whole Europe. Thank you.
On the capacity, future production capacity. So if there, I would say, put it that way, if people in the panel are not feeling too comfortable, maybe there's somebody in the audience who can address that issue as well.
Actually,
I just invite some people to do that.
I can give a quick comment on, let's say, on the potential of the production here in the Norwegian continental shelf. I'll give you an example. The example as regards Skarv, our main asset. So we started production on Skarv 6 years ago, and not disclosing anything in particular, I can say that we produced 6 years ago X million barrels of oil equivalent yearly. And after 6 years, it turned out that we are producing X million barrels of oil equivalent still. However, 6 years ago, we predicted, the decline, natural decline, right, of the production of the field. So the fields here in Norway very often have this kind of effect that they are underestimated at the beginning, but in the long run, then they positively can take you aback. They can positively surprise you with the level of the production. So I'm not very much worried. I'm not worried at all when it comes to the gas. One element. Second element, as long as I went through, I'll give you the voice, right? As long as I went through all this history of the Norwegian continental shelf, because of the Norwegian, let's say, some smartness of the Norwegian administration, the first product to be evacuated from the fields was oil, and still it is. So the gas was I'm not going to say the secondary thing, but, the nature of field exploitation is like, you have to, let's say, maintain your gas, and first you have to exploit the oil. So the oil is reached somehow, let's say, the midpoint when it comes to the oil production here in Norway. But the gas is still a bright future in front of it, I think.
To comment on this.
Yeah, if I start with the kind of the volume profile and the long-term deliveries from Norway, as you said, from MPD, the analysis showed that the undiscovered volumes are from the mid-Norway and north. But I think it's important to look at the whole continental shelf. Start with the matured area in the North Sea. If you look at the volumes produced from the fields today, some of them should be shut down a year ago, a long time ago. So based on technology development, new strategies for exploration, drilling strategies and so on, there is more to gain from the existing reservoir. This is shown in the transport plan we are making every year. So we know for sure that there will be a stable volume for the next 10 years. That's for sure. And after that, we need undiscovered, and we need to get the undiscoveries to discoveries and then into production. The biggest potential now is in the Norwegian Sea, because we have installed capacity in the Norwegian Sea, which is not fully utilized with the Polar-led pipeline connected to Aasta Hansteen. And in fact, the rest capacity in that pipeline system, and also the processing capacity on Nyhavna, the processing plant, is close to 20 million standard cubes a day, which adds up to more than 7 BCM. So that's the capacity we have now to get new field, and when we see the drilling strategies or the exploration strategies in that area, we see that there is a lot of motivation to drill close to Aasta Hansteen in that region, and my prediction is that we will see those volumes adding into Polar-led if you look at 10 years from now. So, and then we have the Barents Sea. And as you know, in the Barents Sea, we did a study back in 2013-14. We are updating that now. There is 10-11 companies in the Barents Sea area which has asked us to do this update study. So we are doing the first part now, and we will do an area study also as a part of this work, which will be finalized summer next year. So I will not go into kind of what will be in that study, but as we did the last time, we studied pipeline systems, adding LNG capacity, and both as a part of that. And I must say, I have a kind of a picture on this. So if you look at the Norwegian continental shelf, you can state the picture of a 55 years old in the Norwegian in the North Sea, with his big family on this big party with all the children and the grandpaps and so on and so forth. So this is the diversity and the picture for that part. And then we go up to the Norwegian Sea. Then we have a 30-year-old, this is a Sunday party with his family, which will be bigger, and so on and so forth. And then we go to the Barents Sea, a 15-year-old girl with her friends discussing what kind of studies should she take and so on and so forth. So there you have it.
Interesting, yes.
That made me think of being from the mid part of Norway in a completely different as of being 50 years. Now we are coming to an end there. I think that we started this seminar with the potential for rather rapid and radical transformation of the relationship between Norway and Denmark as we look into the fairly close future. 2 or 3 years down the road, adding to the seafood, adding to the migration of people, adding to the NATO dimension, and also, of course, including our Danish handball players as well. So we are looking at how gas and energy also transforms political relations, economic relations, and connectedness. And I think that this seminar, through the contributions from the ministers or deputy ministers who have left us, and not least from the you as members of the kind of the operators and the entrepreneurs and the implementers, really enlightened certainly me, but I think some of you, the audience as well, about the scale of the project, the importance, the arguments for the case or the project, and also for some of the implications of it in the long run, for not only for Poland, of course, but for Denmark, but also for Norway and Sweden and European security in general. So thank you so much. Please join me in thanking Marek, Torben, Frode, and Tomasz for their contributions. Thank you so much. Again, let me thank the Polish embassy for help and assistance in completing this. And so please go ahead and enjoy this windy day, cold day. We need some gas.